In the summer of 2013, I was a living historian at Gettysburg National Military Park. Now, living historian is basically a fancy term for a heavily armed tour guide. My job was to essentially dress up like this or in a similar outfit and tell the story of a Gettysburg veteran, of a Civil War soldier in the first person. You know, like, I did this, I jumped over the fence and I killed the Reb or killed the Yankee or whatever. It was a great job. It was an amazing experience. Probably the best summer of my life. And in the course of that job, I met quite a few Civil War reenactors. Now, what I was doing was not Civil War reenacting, just to be absolutely clear. I mean, living history isn't, I mean, you know, in the capacity that I was doing it, in sort of a tour guide aspect, it is not really the same thing. Reenactors, they get their gear using their own money, and they go out on the weekends with their friends, and they essentially, you know, do the battles, or even sometimes they just camp out, you know what I mean? And they just sort of see from experience what life in the Civil War would have been like. And sort of that aspect of it, I have no problem at all with. And some of the Civil War reenactors that I met were really nice. But, and here's a big but, this is usually how a conversation with one of them would inevitably go. You know, I meet them, I go, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Andy." And they say, that button you got, that's not accurate. I go, oh, okay. Oh, and by the way, the fringe on your coat, that's modern fringe. They wouldn't have used that. They wouldn't have sewed things like that back then. Well, geez, okay. Oh, and the biggest one, it's this cavalry hat, and you've got the blue, you know, little line here. That's blue means infantry, but the cross sabers, that's cavalry. So, which are you, cavalry or infantry? First of all, just be like a person. You know what I mean? Just be polite to people. If somebody says, "Hey, how's it going?" say, "It's going good. How about you?" You know what I mean? Just like treat people with basic respect. Second of all, here's what I wanted to say to these people. Dude, you're not accurate. You're 70 years old, you're balding, you have a beer belly, and you're an insurance salesman. Most Civil War soldiers were young, hairy, and skinny. I look more like a Civil War soldier than you ever will, even if I got the wrong fringe or whatever. Okay, I understand that accuracy is important. Like, I get it. I really do, you know. For the purposes of a Civil War reenactor, you know, if you have the money and if you have the time to make it absolutely accurate, then that is an amazing achievement, and that's great. But the whole kind of like, the whole sort of impetus behind these kind of remarks, you know, or maybe I should put it this way. So the desired effect did not happen. I wouldn't sort of take this constructive criticism and think, "Oh, wow, this guy, he knows a lot about the Civil War. Whoa, oh, this guy's really smart." No, I would think, okay, f*** you, and f*** everybody who looks like you, essentially, you know? It did not endear me to these people. And Civil War reenactors really have to think in the long term, and they have to think in terms of the bigger picture. Not everybody can afford a 100% historically accurate uniform. You know what I mean? Civil War uniforms, costumes, gear, whatever you want to call it, is expensive. You need a certain amount of money to be able to even have like a modest little collection of Civil War gear. And on the other hand, people who are just getting into the hobby, they're not gonna know the difference between, you know, the buttons and the stitching and the fringe. They're not gonna know that. You're gonna have to tell them, but maybe do it in a way that's a little bit more supportive. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll be much more likely to want to take part in your hobby. You know, it's just Dale Carnegie, man. This is nothing new. Be nice to people, you know. Then if that guy, you know, that 21-year-old kid or whatever, who has like the shitty Civil War uniform, and you sort of say, "Oh, that's an awesome uniform," you know what I mean? Whatever, hey, how's it going? You know, and then maybe later, you know, take them out to lunch or something and say like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the, you know, button's not quite accurate, but you know what? Don't worry about that. That's fine. You know, you're just starting out. One of these days, though, you know, we'll get you, you know, an awesome historically accurate outfit." Maybe that will bring more young people, more new people into your hobby. Unless, of course, you want it to just die when all of you die, because you're all 85 years old, coming up on retirement, and not long for this earth. And as much as a lot of hardcore reenactors will tell you, oh yeah, the goal of the hobby is to get out there and really see what it was like. You know what I mean? Really see what these soldiers went through. As much as they'll tell you that, as much as they'll go on about that, at the end of the day, it is boys dressing up and running through the woods with fake guns going, "Ptoo, ptoo, ptoo, you're dead, ptoo, ptoo, you're dead." It's just our inner child coming out, man. Why can't you make it more about that? More about the wonder of it, you know, the fun of it. Not who's the smartest, who knows the most, whose buttons are the most accurate. Give me a break.